Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to build a Q&A bot using the A&S Group Baseball CLI tool, and then how to integrate this into a web page. Q&A bots are quite popular. They allow you to load things like FAQs and enable a way of your customers to interact through a chatbot and get information about your company or whatever information you want to provide to them. The first thing we need to do is to build the Q&A bot itself, and in order to do this you need to have Node.js installed on your laptop or PC. If you don't have Node.js, you can download it from nodejs.org. And if you don't want to go through that process of building it, I've also got a zip file which is on GitHub, which I'll show you where that is later on. But I'm going to show you how simple it is to actually build the Q&A code using the Baseball CLI. Okay, so the Baseball CLI is available from our GitHub. This is just github.com/ans-group, and in there there's a number of repositories, but the one we're looking for is the Baseball repository. Okay, and within there there's some instructions on how to install the Baseball CLI. So to install it, we just need to run an npm -g Baseball CLI, and then the tool to actually create the repo with the code in it for us locally is basebot create, and then we can use an npm run build to build the code for us, ready to deploy to our bot. So I already have the Baseball CLI installed on my machine, so I'm just going to go over to a command line and let's build. So just double check. Okay, so like I said, so the command is basebot create, and this is going to ask us a number of questions because the Baseball CLI tool is able to create a number of different types of bots in a simple way. So my project name is going to be Q&A bot. I'm just going to leave that as Q&A bot, so the name of my bot. How are people going to access the bot? So are they going to use the Azure bot service? Are they going to use Amazon Alexa voice? Or we're going to use a direct interface? So today we're going to use direct because we're going to integrate the code into a web page. What kind of storage do you want to use at the back end? So again, we can use Azure Table Storage if we're in Azure. We've got Firebase as an option for if you want maybe to do Google, and we've got AWS DynamoDB as well. So I'm just going to leave it as Azure Table Storage. Again, do we want to use natural language processing? So we've got options for Microsoft Lewis and Amazon Lex. Because this is just going to be a Q&A bot and we're not going to use this natural language processing and the intents of that, we're just going to leave that as none. We're not going to use Papertrail for logging, but the option is there. And then we're going to ask for some additional modules. So like I said, we're going to use the Q&A maker integration, which is this one. There is options to choose other things like analytics or user feedback. But for this simple bot, we're just going to stick to Q&A maker. So let's leave that on. Okay, this is now just going to go and create that code framework ready for us to do any modifications. It might be that you want to change the the colouring or the font, something like that. So the code is there for you to modify it. We're not going to modify it today. We're just going to create the code framework. We're then going to do a build, and then that's going to create our package that's ready to deployed. And in a second or two, it should be done. Okay, so the project's now created. So I'm just going to CD into that folder. Look. Okay, so now we've got kind of our project with our base code in it. I'm just going to run a build on it. So the command for that is npm run build, and this is going to create a built version of the code, and that will sit in a subdirectory called build. Once that's done, we can zip it up, and then we've got our package that's ready to be deployed onto our infrastructure. Again, this should only take 30 seconds or so to run. Okay, that's now done. So the next thing, like I said, is to zip it up. So let's just go into the build directory. I'm going to use a zip -r, which is recursive. And my output file is going to be Q&A.zip. I want all files. Okay, so I've now got my zipped up code built and ready to deploy to my infrastructure. So the next thing I need to do is deploy the infrastructure. And to do that, we've made some simple Azure ARM templates in this case, which will get it deployed into Azure, in a matter of a couple of minutes. So just bear with me. These are in the second repo here. Okay. So like I said, within this repo, we've also got a build. So there is a Q&A.zip file there that if you don't want to go through the previous process, you can just download that and we can deploy that. So in here, there's a couple of templates. So we've got the Azure deploy.json file, which is an ARM template, and then we've got a parameters file to go with that as well, if you need it. You can deploy it from the CLI if you wish, but I'm just going to use the deploy to Azure button. And this should ask you to, if you're not already logged into Azure, it will ask you to log into your Azure account. I was logged in earlier, so it's taking me straight in. And then there's just a few simple questions. So we need to create a new resource group. So I'm just going to call this dev Q&A bot -rg. I'm going to put it into UK South. And then I need to provide a resource prefix. So this is going to be prepended to all the Azure resources that are going to be created as part of the bot. So I'm going to leave that as dev Q&A bot. We then got a number of tags. So we've got an environment tag. So this might be dev, development, test, production, that kind of thing. We've got an application tag. So this is kind of like for a friendly name for the application. So we've got a Q&A bot. Criticality tag. So this is to give you an idea of how critical this this deployment is in your environment. So I'm going to put this as a tier 3. And then an owner tag. So this might be, a department, it might be a user, and so on. And then the final thing is the VNet address. So the template will deploy a /24 network, and this is the network address. Don't confuse it with an IP address, it's a network address. So this trailing 0 is meant to be there. We need to accept the terms and conditions, purchase the template, and Okay, we've got a deployment in progress. So again, this should take 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll go and create all the resources for us. So it's going to create for us a Q&A Maker AI endpoint. That requires a search service. It's also going to create a web app, which is where we're going to host our bot application code that we just built. It's also going to create a couple of storage accounts, one that's used for logging, one that's used to store data. We've got a VNet in there, and that allows us to do VNet endpoints on the storage account and VNet integration onto the web app, so the app can speak to the data in a private way. So this template should be almost finishing. Okay, that's complete. So now we've got all our resources deployed. Let's just make that a little bit bigger. Okay, like I said, we've got an app service plan, we've got a search service, we've got a security group on our VNet. We've got an app service which is for the Q&A service. We've got a cognitive service for the Q&A service. We've got a VNet, and then we've got our storage accounts. So now we've got this code deployed, the next thing we need to do is we need to upload the bot code that we created earlier on, and we need to put that into a storage account and make it available to the app service. So to do that, we go to the data storage account, so we can see we've got Q&A data, Q&A logs. And within here, there should already be a container ready for us to upload the code to. So if we just go in there and we upload, go and select the file that I created earlier. So that will be in documents, bot demo, Q&A bot.zip. Okay, we're just going to upload that. And once this uploads, we need to get a SAS token that we can apply to the app service, and then it's able to download its application package. And again, this really shouldn't take more than a minute or so to do. Okay. Okay, so we need to create a SAS token. So in order to do that, there's a generate SAS link at the top of the page. What we need to do is set an expiry time on that. So every time the bot service is restarted, or the app service is restarted, it will go and read the package from this location. So we want to set the expiry date on this to some point in the future that gives us time. So I'm going to set this to 10 years in the future. I'm just going to generate it. We only need read permissions. Okay. And I need the full blob SAS URL, not just the SAS token. So if we copy that there, then we need to go back to the app service. So if we go to the resource group, find the app service. So we have two. And we want the Q&A bot core. There it is. Okay. And within here, we need to go to configuration. and we've got a number of application settings. So the one that we need to update is website run from package. We just need to paste in the slash URL that we copied earlier. So if we OK that, save. Okay, so now we've got our app service. It's linked to the application code. There's a couple more things we need to do. So one is we need to use the Q&A maker interface to build the knowledge base and add our Q&A, our FAQs, our questions and answers into that service. And then the final bit will be integrating the bot into our website. So I'm just going to open up the Q&A maker.ai website. So Q&A maker.ai. Make sure you log in using the same credentials that you log into Azure with, otherwise you won't see your services. So I'm just going to double check that is logged in with the right account. And then we need to create a knowledge base. So we click on this link at the top. We can skip step 1 because we've already created this as part of the template deployment. And then let's go in here and we should be able to see our tenant, our subscription, and hopefully we'll see our service. So there's the Q&A service that has already been deployed as part of that template. Select a language, and we're going to use English. Okay, we now need to give our knowledge base a name. So I'm going to call this dev Q&A bot-kb. And then we get some options on how we want to populate the knowledge base. So there's a few things we can do here. We can use URLs. So if you've got an FAQ page on your website that's public, we can add that URL in, and the service will parse that and try to create some Q&As from it, question and answer pairs. We've also got the ability to upload files, so we can upload the question and answer pairs from a Word doc, from an Excel spreadsheet, as a PDF, and as a TSV file. So I've got a Word document that I've created with some very basic questions and answers in it, which if I open this here, and I've just put a few questions along with their answers. So, who are A&S? How do we contact A&S? Where is the offices? Etc. So let's just close that. And we're just going to add that file. So if we do that, it's on my desktop. Okay, so we've got the file. And then the other thing that we can do is they also give us something called chit chat functionality, and it's just some kind of default questions that allow the bot to answer some very simple things. So you can ask it to tell you a joke, and a number of other kind of chit chat type questions. There's a number of personas as well that you can apply, so you can have a professional one, a friendly one, a witty one, a caring or enthusiastic. So I think we're going to choose the witty one for this. Okay, and finally, once we've got that information in there, we can then go and create our knowledge base. So do this, and it should only take a minute. I think the other thing to point out as well is that the template's designed to use the free tier type services. So there are some limitations on the number of documents you can attach and files, or URLs that you can link to it. So if you need more, I think it's 4 by default. If you need more, then you may need to change the services. And that's just a case of changing the service tier within the cognitive services account that's created in the template. So as you can see, it's read the information from my document, my Word document, and got that there. So the source is the ANS FAQ. Another good thing to do at this stage as well is that you might want to add some alternative phrasing. So you can do that here. And let's add something else in. So we might ask who are ANS. We might say who is ANS. No, what is ANS? And the more of these that we're able to put in, the better the training is, so that the more accurate the answers will be. And when you've got a lot of questions that are maybe quite similar, the best way is to program these alternative phrases and you'll get much better results from it. Okay, so we've got our questions that we can have a look through. We've got the chit chat that it's put in there. So if you look at the samples for the chit chat, can you ask me something about me? And then there is lots of different kind of connotations or iterations of that in there, along with its response. So now we've got our knowledge base program. We need to save and train it, which again should only take a minute. And once it's trained, we then need to publish it to our Q&A Maker service that sits in the Azure subscription. So we've trained it. So now let's publish it. And here you can see that it's going to tell you where it's going to publish it to. And this is the Q&A app service that sits in our account. So we're going to publish that now. Okay. So once it's published, we get this page here, and there's a couple of pieces of information we need off this page, and we need to update our app service with these. So the first thing we need is the knowledge base ID, which is this string here. I'm just going to drop into here, and we've got our Q&A KB ID. So we'll put that in there. And we also need the endpoint key, which is this string here. We'll copy that. And we need to put it in here. So Q&A key. Okay. So now we've done that, make sure that we save it up here. Okay, so our app service is now configured. All the values that we need. We've also got a Q&A threshold. So this is the, let's just look at that. That's set at 80 at the moment. So when the Q&A Maker returns a response to a question, it also has a threshold. It's a percentage. So at the moment, anything that it's 80% sure about will be returned as an answer. We can make that higher or we can make that lower. So that's something else that just allows us to tweak how the bot reacts and answers questions. Just cancel that. Okay, so we've now got our infrastructure ready. We've got our bot codes deployed. The final thing we need to do now is really to integrate the bot into our website. And to do that, the template makes it really easy. So we'll go back to the resource group, find the deployment, which should just be one. And in the outputs, there is a HTML script. If we copy that, we now just need to edit our code for our website, and hopefully we'll be able to get this bot up and running very quickly. So I've got a copy of the ANS website here. It's actually just been uploaded to some blob storage in Azure just for this demo. So I've got this. I'm going to get the HTML file for that, which I've got on my machine. Maybe I haven't, so let's just go and download that. Okay. Okay. So I've got the HTML file. What I need to find now is the opening body tag. So let me just do that. And there it is. So there's our body tag. And directly underneath that, I'm going to insert the script that I've just copied. Perfect. We'll just save that. Let's just upload that file, overwrite it. So that HTML file, open, we'll overwrite it. Okay. And all being well, we should get the bot. So now we've got a bot in our website, and we now should be able to answer some questions. We should be able to ask it some questions. So let's just try one of the ones we uploaded. So and there we go. So that's now a Q&A bot that's answering questions from our Word document that we uploaded. We can ask it to do some of the inbuilt stuff as well. So tell me a joke. And there we go. And that's not very funny. So okay, and there you have it. So we've now got a Q&A bot integrated into our website in a matter of minutes. Okay, thank you for your time. Bye.